What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel, check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on this right here that came across my timeline, right? So this is, I don't know what's this guy's name, but this is a a stat that came across my timeline, right? And this guy is his name's something Joseph. Let me look him up. Because I just thought that this was crazy. His name is Isaiah Joe. His name is Isaiah Joe. He played for the Thunder, right? And you see right here, it says cra- I don't even know why I didn't the heading says crazy but true. Isaiah Joe has passed Larry Bird on an all-time list threes with 651 career threes. He passed Larry Bird. So when I first saw this, I was like, man, what is this? Like, is this guy? I don't even know this guy, right? And this right here just made me think that this is why stats in basketball, like shouldn't matter. You know, like I said, and I said in videos before, stats it's different with stats in baseball, right? Because you got nine players on the field with you. And so if you could hit a home run, like a baseball player could hit a home run every time they come up to bat. They hit three home runs a game and still lose the game because that's only three runs, right? So you can't really affect winning on a baseball team the way you can affect it on a basketball team. So that's why winning in basketball is so important, right? Because you can have a greater impact on a basketball team than you can on a baseball team or the football team. Like a running back can run for 100 yards every game and still lose. You got guys who have had over 1,000 yards every year and still play on losing teams, or wide receivers who catch, 100 have 100 receptions a season and still be on a losing team, right? Um, Dan Marino, one of the best quarterbacks, in my opinion, who ever played in the NFL, but he never won a Super Bowl because he's only one player out of one out of like how many players on a professional football team, like 50 something, 52. So baseball, I can see why you can keep up with stats. Football too, also, stats. But basketball, when you put up 651 threes and somebody, and I still don't know who you are, that's not, that's not good. And to compare this guy to Larry Bird, man, I just think that's just it is crazy. Just like it said on the original post. It's crazy to compare this guy to Larry Bird, man, because I mean, and it wasn't a comparison to Larry Bird, but they mentioned the stat, that he passed Larry Bird because I think they trying to give like that some relevance, because if you just say, oh yeah, this guy Isaiah Joe has 651 3-pointers throughout his career. In order for it to have some relevance, then you gotta mention somebody like Larry Bird. And because Larry Bird was a winner, Larry Bird, although he was an excellent 3-point shooter, you got to remember Larry Bird only shot threes. He only shot the 3-point shot when his team needed it. It wasn't Larry Bird came down the court and trying to work the ball around for a good shot. He specialized in the mid range. He could get mid range. He played at all three levels basically. He'd penetrate and get a layup. He could pass the ball. He could shoot the mid range, and he could shoot the three when they needed the three. Larry Bird won a 3-point contest. He put his skills on display. When he needed a three, he could hit a three. But this guy right here, and I'm not trying to knock him, but I'm just using him as an example. Like stats don't really tell the whole story. They just don't tell the whole story. And you know, um, I don't, I, and I didn't even go through I didn't even go through like the take the time to look up who this guy was because it just shows me that I know who Shea Gilgris is, who played for Oklahoma. I know who the guy. I know Chet Holmgren. You know, I know the guy Williams, but you know, and none of those guys. I wouldn't compare any of those guys, and I know those guys are more famous on Oklahoma than this guy is. They're more well known than what this guy is, and I wouldn't compare any of those guys, not even Shea Gilgris, to Larry Bird. Just wouldn't do it. It don't make no sense, right? And so they gotta cut it out with the stats. I just want to know, like, is this what the game has really turned into? Like the golden era of basketball is over with, and so it's not going to be about winning anymore. It's going to be about stats. Is that what it turned to? If it is, then I can see basketball like the NBA. I can just like see it continue to decline because now if it's not about winning and it's just about stats, then everybody just gonna chase their numbers. And so when people chasing their numbers, it's going to be get hard to get people to play team basketball because everybody going to want their numbers because their numbers are going to be tied into like how they get paid, and when it's time to negotiate, their agents going to be able to throw their numbers, on the table and stuff like. So it's not about winning, and the fans really not going to be like the fans not really going to generate to that. They're not going to be gravitating to somebody who's just shooting a bunch of threes. And it's showing now, it's showing already that like 3 point fans really don't care about 3 points. I know I don't. It's boring after a while. You get to watch somebody jack up a whole bunch of threes. What team? Somebody just earlier this season shot like 75 3 pointers in a game, 70 something 3 pointers in a game and still lost. That's crazy. That's crazy. So they shot. Now look at Larry Bird had 649 threes throughout his career. And so I just mentioned a team that shot 75 in one game. I don't know how many they hit out of the 75, but of course you're gonna catch Larry Bird. If you shooting 75 threes, somebody gonna catch Larry Bird. You're 75 in a game. That is crazy. Of course you're gonna catch Larry Bird. But are you going to catch him as far as rings? Larry Bird sitting on 3 rings. He's sporting 3 rings. Like, will this guy, Isaiah Joe, will he catch him with that? Will this guy be able to win any 3 point contest? Do that. I want to see this guy participate in the 3 point contest and dominate it the way that Larry Bird, dominated the 3 point contest back when he played. You know, when Larry Bird when he got that 3 point contest, it was basically it was over. Everybody knew Larry was, he was going to win. And then he stopped playing, and he stopped participating, and other guys started winning. But man, this stat right here is just to me, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. And it just proves that stats don't matter. And especially like I said in basketball, where one player just can affect winning so much because you only got 5 guys on your team, on your team on the court at one time. So if you're a dominant basketball player, and just think about it. I don't even know this guy. Like I said, I didn't take the time to do any research to look him up, but I'm sure that he hadn't been in the league for 13 years. I would know that. So Larry Bird played 13 years. This guy got more 3 pointers than him and haven't been in the league as long as Larry Bird. So if Larry Bird shot, if Larry Bird made 649 3 pointers and he got 3 championship rings to show for it, then this guy by now he should have at least 3 championship rings to show for it. If he was, now if he had 3 championship rings to show for what he, for all those threes that he put up, then I said, okay, then that means something. But he got one because they won last year, and I'm assuming he was on the team, and I know he was on the team last year, right? But talk to me when you have, when you got 3 rings. So all this stat right here do is show that he's not as efficient a basketball player as Larry Bird. He got 653 pointers and 1 ring. Larry Bird got 649 and 3 rings, right? So, uh, you know, he just not as efficient a basketball player as Larry Bird. That's what that stat mean, you know. And so, yeah, that's my take on it, man. That they need to, I don't know what they need to just cut these stats out, man, because it just shows that these guys are not efficient basketball players. They're just chucking up a whole bunch of threes. And they not turning into rings, you know, they just turning into stats. They're stat padding. So that's my take on it. Make sure to like, subscribe. Also, don't forget to leave a comment, and I will check you all out in the next video. Peace.